Now, this will get a podcast episode, so don't worry about that. But just to start this conversation off, because I feel like everybody has an opinion, yet so few people really are also participating in the identity of black man while speaking on black men not going to college. Now, I understand that there's so many recurring takes that you've heard. I don't want to go work for the white man, this man, white man, blah, blah, all that shit, which is facts. But let me just ask you guys this so all of us can participate in this conversation. When has neoliberal higher education been anything other than a tool for the investors of those educational facilities to have their names plastered all over them and to make a bunch of money off of giving loans to children, predatory loans to children, mind you, because you're telling these kids, hey, you're going to have to risk going into severe debt to access an opportunity to have a chance at existing above poverty wages for the rest of your life. When there's a bunch of kids already living in this upper echelon that will never even have to think about considering working a job to sustain themselves in this life because their parents are already so deep in wealth that their existence doesn't matter. Fundamentally, I'm sorry for saying that, but their existence doesn't matter. And their participation in society is nothing but negative to obstructing other people from opportunity and stealing resources that exist for the people who need it to take for themselves to complement their identity that, again, means nothing to society other than adding negativity to it. But because what I think education in America is just an indoctrination station to make sure that American exceptionalism stays alive, and then to make sure that 70% in the middle are still fighting against each other for the validation of those successful Americans, and then everybody else is just a consequence as to what happens if you don't successfully follow through in American education, which doesn't prepare you for anything other than American opportunity, because the rest of the world doesn't operate on American exceptionalism unless they're actively being destabilized by America. But to get deeper to the point, and especially because I keep on hearing this, if black men went to college, there would be so much more opportunity and so much more money to invest in the black community. Doesn't matter if all the people that run the businesses that aren't hiring us after we graduate with all this debt are white men who are submitting to this MAGA philosophy that we didn't earn any of the positions that we are applying for. Even if we've put ourselves through the debt, through the rigor, through the courses, through the tests, through the assessments, through the racism, we still didn't earn it? Okay. Oh, let's not talk about the trauma that happens to black boys in schools that are punished more, that are looked at as men when we're children, that are literally perceived out of fear from grown adults, and that perception of fear is allowed to influence the decisions that they make, negatively impacting our perception and our identity as we continue to follow through this traditional education system that, mind you, was never even supposed to include us. And even when it did, the only thing they wanted us to be were debt slaves instead of just regular African slaves. But again, I'm splitting off from the conversation. The main point I want to get to here, and then I hope I can save all the rest of the side stories for after I get this, is how has traditional, especially higher education in the United States, how has traditional education positively impacted for marginalized people, especially black people in the black community? How has it positively influenced our entrepreneurship, our ability to create and run businesses that allow us ownership and authority in our economic opportunity? How has traditional, neoliberal, I'm gonna say it again, education influenced our access to employment opportunity and employment opportunity beneath our own employers and entrepreneurs, but also employment opportunity that expands beyond the debt slavery that America keeps its graduates in, because it doesn't want you going to send your economic labor and value to another country, even though we'll probably ship you off to another country anyway, because we're broke always. And mind you, how can any of us, especially people who aren't already in the upper class as black people, for many of us, how can any of us actively contribute to our communities when we have families to feed? I don't, but for a lot of people, you have family to feed, you have credit card debt to pay. Oh, fuck. You have student loan debt. because of that education you had to pay for that you didn't realize. But YouTube came out recently, so I don't blame you. You didn't realize that all of this information, if you sought it out long enough, you'll find for free. Probably explained better and more in depth and more effectively and more resonating to you and your voice and your mind if you just sought it out yourself than paying somebody to organize it all, package it up in a syllabus, and then hold you accountable with tests and then punish you because you're not a good test taker, but not that you can't like conquer these subjects. So how do you contribute to the Black community when you don't even have money, like $100 a month to give to charity? Mind you, we don't own those charities either. So like, oh, you're a debt slave now for trying to access a life above the line, which again, wealthy people just play the game and just exchange money knowing that they will never be enslaved to or tied to any opportunity that they pursue because they can just buy their way out of it. Oh, you're poor and you got the wrong degree, you pursued the wrong major. Now you're going to be paying that major off and that degree off with this new degree you're pursuing. But you're also accruing interest on this. But then also you have to pay for this new degree. But also if you want to do any other form of education, which you're already probably late to, you're going to have... All right, let's go to the final thing, which nobody wants to speak of, but I'll be the one to speak of it because I've been speaking against these tech bros and how it's so interesting how it is perfectly aligned, the integration and really the forced implementation of these digital societies and digital communities has come at the, forgive me, I think I said the words wrong, but the integration of this digital psychosis that we've been forced onto with our increased usage of these digital platforms at the same pace that we've been removing the arts out of school, at the same pace that now sports, amateur sports, have become a pay-for-play vehicle so we can allow gambling to influence the youngest, most vulnerable population, just like we allowed internet porn to destroy their brains fucking 20 years ago, and still allow. The final point I'm trying to get to, I'm sorry it doesn't start with an E, because I know employment and entrepreneurship do, but this final point I'm going to get to is non-traditional economic opportunity. You have to realize that not everybody can work, but it's okay that not everybody can work. And people can still provide intangible value to the community, to the society, not being slaves to labor. If we can expand beyond that, especially as a Black community, we will go miles. Like I'm telling you, like exponentially, infinitely into the future, beyond not only our like slave masters on earth, but just beyond our current human ignorance that feels like we don't deserve to exist, to pursue, to dream, to visualize, to pioneer outside of anything that can be productive in producing profit for a man that doesn't even look like us. When I say, and I speak about this all the time on my YouTube channel if you want to fuck with me there, but this non-traditional economic opportunity will be the artists, the people who want to be rappers and YouTubers you keep on making fun of. Yeah, that's a real opportunity and you better start fucking believing in it. Not saying everybody's a rapper, but like artist, that is economic opportunity. But bankers haven't found a way to enslave that. And also record label executives and whatnot are just figuring it out how to 360 deal a slave. So not a long time before they figure out how to do that. How about this? How many Black boys want to be athletes? Imagine if every Black kid didn't have to be an athlete or the main rapper. Imagine if you integrated educational opportunities from active, non-traditional life path people in the real world to teach younger people who are creative people who aren't going to do the traditional employment path. How about you give them an opportunity to create teams and collectives? Maybe we can see the next range of Cash Money. Maybe we can see the next group of Master P's. Maybe we can see the next big collective, but it's a team built of young people who want to sponsor their friends who are talented in ways and say, you know what, instead of letting our friend who's a really good athlete get fucked by these old executives, how about we be the audio engineers? How about we be the media team? How about we be the marketing agency? How about we do all these things? And while we're young, we're learning skills that not only help our friend get an opportunity, but help all of us have literally prepare ourselves for opportunities in the fields that we genuinely love and desire to be in, while actively creating economic opportunity and developing ourselves psychologically to share this information and also in an intangible sense influence and benefit our community, that exist beyond just being able to get a degree, get a job, and then pay money to a charity that says Black Lives Matter on it. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.